Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Fellow Gambians, today His Excellency Adam Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, directed the convening of the National Security Council to discuss our security challenges. The Gambia must place itself and accord itself the capacity to confront the security challenges of the 21st century. The new democratic dispensation must be nurtured and jealously protected if we have to avert potential internal insecurity. On matters of national security, we must avoid reaching a crossroad. As Gambians, with common destiny and purpose, we must march together, hand in hand, in unison towards our common destiny. We will fail as a nation if we move ahead, leaving any community or section of community behind. We will be at our best if we can all work together as each other's keeper, being passionate about our common well-being. That is the true spirit of one Gambia, one people, one destiny. On December 1st, 2016, we Gambians exercised a sovereign democratic choice. We have three choices, and in conformity with nationally and internationally accepted democratic principles and practices, the Gambia decided by electing Adam Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia. On that historic date, we did not just elect a new president to form a new government. More fundamentally, we voted for system change. Never again in our history shall we permit the fangs of dictatorship and executive lawlessness to rear its ugly head in our country. A system change requires radical transformation of not only our governance infrastructure, but also our national attitude, our mindset and approach to issues. We cannot demand change if we are not prepared to change our attitude towards our national obligations and duties. We cannot create a strong nation, a vibrant economy, or peaceful and stable communities if we engage in lawless acts or take the law into our own hands, all in the name of democracy. Many of our citizens misread democracy to mean do as you like with impunity. The new Gambia has not dispensed with the rule of law. Every citizen is subject to the law, and every inch of Gambian territory must be subject to Gambian law. No part of the Gambia shall be permitted to be an island by itself in terms of enforcement of the law. Impunity shall not be accepted from any community or settlement in the Gambia. You either obey the law or be consumed by the law. And let me state, enough is enough. Acts of provocation calculated to undermine public security shall be visibly met by the compelling force of the law. The National Security Council was convened today for an emergency meeting under the authority of His Excellency Adam Barrow, President of the Republic of the Gambia, to discuss urgent issues of concern to the government of the Gambia and the citizens. Now, let me come to the situation in Kanilai. Yesterday, 2nd June, a group of people from villages around Kanilai and border villages inside Casamance engaged in violent demonstrations. They attacked the security forces deployed in and around Kanilai and border villages. Now, security reports reveal that members of the group who were armed with traditional weapons engaged in provocative acts against members of security forces in the area and around Kanilai and made some demands, one of which was the removal of security personnel from the Kanilai area. In particular, the economic forces. Now, let me make it very clear here. The economic forces would not have been in this country if the former president had accepted the will of the people and peacefully hand over power to a newly democratic elected government. A security situation existed which necessitated the intervention of ECOWAS and therefore the presence of ECOWAS troops called ECOMIG in the Gambia. ECOMIG are our guests. They are here to support our security stabilization, to consolidate our democratic gains in accordance with clear international rules of engagement. And so therefore, the presence of ECOMOG is a needed requirement to enable the Gambia consolidate our democracy, rule of law, and to effect the needed reforms, particularly security sector reforms, that this country needs to move ahead. Now, during this conflict, the armed group in Kanilai, some of them armed with traditional weapons, went into the streets, burning tires, behaving in a lawless manner, without a permit, without securing a permit from the police force or from the Gambia government to go out in the streets. We respect the right of every Gambian citizen, particularly the right to peaceful protest. That is your constitutional right, and nobody can take away from you as citizen. It is your right to go into the streets and protest lawfully and democratically. The Gambia government will not interfere with that right. But you have no right, no group of citizens has the right to demonstrate without recourse to the law. In other words, those who went on armed demonstration around Kanilai and the periphery of Kanilai did so without obtaining permit from the police force. And therefore, when they provocatively engaged the soldiers, our security forces around the area, and were pursued, they ran into border villages and Casamance, taunting security forces to follow them there, provoking a situation that could explode into a potential security nightmare. Unfortunately, during the tense standoff between the group of armed demonstrators and members of the security forces deployed in the area, 2 members of the group and 1 ECOMIG soldier were wounded, resulting in the regrettable death today, 3rd June, of 1 of the demonstrators at the Royal Victoria Teaching Hospital in Banjul. The exact circumstances of this death are still being investigated. The government of the Gambia, meanwhile, conveys to the family of the deceased its profound sympathies for their loss. The government takes this opportunity to inform the general public that while it will generally not interfere with the exercise of the fundamental human rights of the people, including the right to peacefully assembly and association as enshrined in the Constitution, no one should use this as a pretext to cause trouble or provoke a situation of crisis in this country. The exercise of these rights must be done in a peaceful manner, and no group of people has the right to determine the rule of law in the name of democracy. The government of the Gambia will determine the security needs of this country and shall act in the national interest, including deployment of security forces in any part of the country as it deems appropriate at any given moment. The people of this country have turned their back on the old ways of violence and lawlessness in favor of progress and peaceful coexistence when they elected a new president on December 1, 2017, and that no amount of provocation will derail this national project or prevent this government from achieving this objective. We therefore call upon community leaders and the majority of the good citizens of Foni and the Kanilai area to not allow a minority to tarnish their image. The country belongs to all of us, and it is the government's responsibility to ensure that every person in this country is assured of their personal liberty and freedom from intimidation and fear. And finally, the government of the Gambia commends members of the security forces deployed in the Foni and Kanilai area for exercising maximum restraint by refusing to act to the blatant acts of provocation by this group of armed demonstrators. The disciplined conduct of the security forces substantially contributed to a de-escalation of the situation, which could have easily spiraled out of control. The government will continue to monitor the situation and to continue to engaging with community leaders in the area in order to prevent a recurrence. As I speak, 22 people have been arrested, and we are on the hunt for those who are running away from the law. In the Kanilai area, even the village Al Karo and other people are in hiding because a travesty of the law was committed. As we indicated, every citizen has the right to protest according to the law. If you protest outside the law, you shall be consumed by the law. The Gambia is a peaceful country. It shall remain so. The sovereign integrity of this nation will be protected by the Gambia government at all times. And we shall never falter to act contrary to our oath of office. The President has directed that all efforts must be made to ensure the pacification of every part of this country that continues to negate the law or take the law into its own hand. We crave your indulgence to continue to exercise maximum restraint, and we assure you that we will take your security very seriously. Those who intend to violate the laws of this land must be prepared for strict consequences. May God bless the Republic of the Gambia. Thank you all.